E aí, pessoal? Live de novo hoje. Segunda live do dia, 15:01, né? Então a gente vai fazer algumas perguntas aí pro Heath. Porque tem a vinda dele, né? Ele tá vindo pro Brasil. Ele vem daqui exatamente 14 dias, né? 15 dias. Vai ser muito legal. E a gente vai ter presença de um multivencedor, né? Do Mister Olímpia. E o que é muito interessante? O que é mais legal de perguntar para essas pessoas, né? O que é a história deles, né, em relação a ao que eles tiveram de dificuldades, o que eles aprenderam, coisas que a gente pode usar em nosso favor, né? Afinal de contas, ganhar 7 vezes Mister Olímpia não, não é uma coisa fácil, né? Fecentes, cara, pode fazer o que você quiser, tá? Faz pulando corda, daquele jeitinho que eu ensinei, tá bom? Beijo pra você, querida. Eu vou pedir para ele falar devagar, algumas coisas eu vou traduzir para vocês, tá? Mas eu vou dar uma tiradinha dos comentários aqui, porque, né, senão vai desconcentrar o nosso convidado. Vamos chamar o Phil? Também tô com muita... Vamos ver aqui. Hey, Phil.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm fine, thanks. And you? How about you?
I'm good, thank you.
Now you're going back to Brazil. I think you don't come here since 2016, right?
Gosh, it's been that long. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. The last time we dinner together was you, me, Eduardo Correa. I don't think you remember. It was Arnold Classics here in Brazil.
It was at a it was at a restaurant, I believe. Was I was with the guys from the bio performance company that did the
Yes,
yeah, so see, I got a good memory. I remember that. Yeah.
a very good memory. Very good. So I'll ask you to speak a little bit slowly because you have a lot of fans in Brazil, actually, and you're very admired here. And I can sense from the net that people are so anxious to have you here again. And you are free to talk in any terms you want. But I have some questions that I would to address you in to know about your experience because 7 times Mr. Olympia, man. How can you tell that? And please tell me, what's the difference between winning the first time, the second time, the third time? Don't you get actually bored?
You never get bored of winning. I think the issues that went with winning the first one, winning the first one is wow, like, oh my gosh, like I'm the best in the world, right? And then you realize right away, at least for me, that I have another contest that following week in India. So I didn't really get to just sit back and relax.
I remember that.
And being Mr. Olympia, I would say the second time was awesome, but I had a lot of pressure going into the second one because what worked for the first one may not work for the second one as far as like your training, your diet, but also we were filming Generation Iron at the same time. So I had that pressure in my mind thinking the last thing I want is to lose for a documentary. So, I had a lot of pressure with that. The third one, oh my gosh, I was very, very, just everything clicked very easy. I wouldn't say the off season was very hard, but when I say easy, everything I did just happened to fall into place. I just did everything perfect that year, and I looked really, really good. The fourth and the fifth one were kind of a blur because at that point it was just like Kai's fans are against me, my fans are against him. The rivalry started getting really crazy. So there was a lot of noise, And I was just trying, those 2 years, I was just trying to get through the fact that my father passed away, that I was going through a divorce, that I was going through changes with the supplement company. I had all that going on at those 2 years. So I don't recall like what I was feeling as far as weightlifting. It was more just dealing with life, and weightlifting was second. Number 6 and number 7 are, man, that type of training. I felt in order to win number 6, I have to go like try to understand what Dorian Yates did, right? Like what type of training did he do, but then make it work for me. So it wasn't like I'm going to be squatting 600 pounds. It was more like you have to dig so deep and you have to like really want it more than the first 5, because the diet that I was doing prior to all those shows wasn't working. The type of training I was doing for those shows wasn't working either. So it was definitely something that I had to start from scratch. And thankfully, it worked because I was getting older. I was able to train a lot heavier, and my body was able to respond, and I peaked for 16 and then 17. For number 7, I mean, it was chatting with Arnold at his Arnold Classic, telling him how thankful I am to be able to just attempt to win 7, and have him stare back at me and not have to say any words, but just give me a hug. And that was like all I needed to give me more motivation to win number 7. And winning number 7 came at a big price. You know, I was injured with my hernia from 2014 on, but 2017 just made it worse. But I have no regrets. I was happy that I went through those struggles, because I look back at it and say, I was able to win those Olympias through a lot of different hardship. And that makes me more relatable to the person watching me right now, is that majority of people have gone through relationships that have ended. A lot of people have endured losing a parent. A lot of people have endured losing a business, or having, you know, one of your friends steal from you or do something wrong. Winning the Olympia is something not relatable. But if I can go through all of those relatable things and still win the Olympia, that should give other people encouragement to go after their goals and their dreams. And that's really how I've, you know, positioned my mindset to go through all of my competitions. And, you know, I think it paid off, and I've been thankful to be able to now take a step back and put words to my thoughts and to help people go through their life challenges.
I'd like to use this comment of yours on the mindset that you need, because I think that for you, the great champions, it's more mind and body. You know what you need to do, and you know that you need to do that and perform 100% and maybe 110%. You know, and some questions about that. There was any one of these titles that you won on a momentum, you know, like you were winning and you just follow the flow, you know?
Yeah, I think creating that flow started when I was a kid. Being raised as an only child, understanding that I wanted to be a basketball player, that meant that I had to be willing to practice when no one's around. And in bodybuilding, you have to be willing to train when no one's around. So I was already, as a child, like developing a certain mindset of wanting to be better at my dribbling, my defense, my offense, like all those things. I could do drills by myself, right? So then I could be better when I play with a team. In bodybuilding, I see a lot of athletes need a training partner, need a person to do cardio with. I felt like I didn't need anyone. Now, if you were going to be there, Yeah, that will help. But I didn't have to have it. And I proved throughout my career, you didn't see me training with people. You saw me do it all by myself. Now, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
I didn't have friends and family that supported me and wished me well. It just meant that when it really mattered, I'm on that stage by myself. So mentally, I knew what it felt like to be in the gym when there was no one in there and going through all those workouts with no spot. So if I couldn't lift 500 pounds, then that means either I don't lift it or I find a way in my heart that I can get it done without killing myself. So I knew that there was no limitations, only in my head. So imagine every workout that you're doing, low carb, every time that you're told by your coach, do 40 minutes of cardio, it's just you in there. You could cheat. You could cheat and tell your coach, yeah, I did 20 minutes. I did 40 minutes when you really did 20. I did all that. I made sure that I was accountable for every rep, every set, every workout, every step on the step mill, you know, every ounce of protein. I made sure, and that's why I developed such a confidence that was at sometimes disguised as arrogance to people, but they don't realize I did all this work by myself. Like, I had a coach, but he wasn't training me like that. Like, he was giving me protocol and I would follow it and I would modify it based on how I was feeling. But, you know, the mindset of a champion, you have to be willing to be alone. And a lot of people, you see it online. Majority of people that we follow online, they always have an entourage. And the reason why I was able to beat them is because there's no entourage on stage. It's just you and me. So now you don't have your friends there yelling at you, telling you how great you are. Now you have some judges that are, all that matters is what they see. And then you have someone like me who is used to being in the dark. It's like watching Batman The Dark Knight, right? It's like, oh, some people are afraid of the dark. I was born in it. And it's like, yeah, like I put myself in that position and I used it to my advantage throughout my career. And that's what made me the freaking dream killer, man. Like I knew how to harness all of the energy and make it positive for my physique. And yeah, I'm just living proof of knowing how to leverage my pain.
Getting listening to your speech, sometimes we can think that maybe uh, misled compliments can lead you to bad results. Is that true for you? Do you prefer to hear nothing than bad compliments or
Oh,
a bad timing of compliments?
I see what you're saying. So like for instance, my trainer Honey Rambo would never tell me I look good, right? and and you know, I would take it as, oh, what he's basically positioning is, I see better for you, so therefore what you're doing right now is just good. It's not great. Well, my good would be someone's greatest, but we're not talking about them. We're talking about me being the greatest of all time. We're not talking about me winning one, not two, not three. We wanted to win 8, 9, and 10 of these things. So you have to raise your standards. So therefore you can't always be looking for compliments. And what I noticed with the people that I would go against, their fans would always compliment them. My fans didn't compliment me all the time because they also saw deep down, they saw more. They trusted me to give them more. So if I didn't give them more, they would be very negative. But you see what happens now. I'm not on stage and those same fans are like, oh, we want you back. Like, please, because you could trust me that you were
Yeah.
getting something different. And it's hard for an athlete, even myself, to discern someone's comment as like hate or disgust or their inability to just say, hey, Phil, I think you're freaking amazing. I just want more of you. Because especially men, we don't know how to tell another man, bro, I just love you. I just want more of you.
Man,
if
this is perfect.
yeah,
This thought is perfect because a lot of very known people have this issue to differ a good comment and a bad comment. And you're telling about what you're leaving on the fourth and fifth titles. And also, I remember you telling people on the net, "Don't hate the king." Can you remember that?
oh
I
yes,
think
like don't. What I meant by that was don't hate the king because I'm not going to be king forever. And I understand through watching other sports how they treat other kings, right? The top people.
yeah,
They love them right. They love them for a couple of years, and then they just like because of their expectations of that person being so high, they just want to throw stones at him. They want to pull him down.
yes,
But then when he is no longer king, they go to the next person and they treat that person good, and then they treat him like crap. And then 10 years go by, and then they say, "Wow, that guy, he's the greatest of all time." Well, if you it took you 10 years to realize the guy was great, you knew
perfect.
you knew he was great already. And you wouldn't I guess my biggest frustration was why are you not being in the moment? See, when I watched Ronnie Coleman, Ronnie Coleman guest posed when it was in 2004. I wasn't pro yet, right? He had just won the Olympia and he was guest posing in Colorado. I was so in the moment that I was like standing on a chair trying to see what I'm seeing. Oh my God, like this guy like is amazing. And people are like, dude, you're Mr. Colorado, like you're gonna be Mr. USA, you're gonna turn pro one day. And this I'm like, that doesn't matter. What matters is I'm watching the greatest in the world. And I know he's not gonna be here forever. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
understand what I'm seeing. I waited 4.5 hours to buy four 8x10 pictures. And then 1 year later goes by, I turn pro and I watch him win the 2005 Olympia, right? I studied everything he did on that stage. In fact, I was able to hang out with him throughout the evening. So I'm just being in the moment. And then when he lost to Jay, I was like, wow, like I can't believe this just happened. And I'm friends with Jay. I'm happy for Jay. And then when Ronnie does his final Olympia, I'm up there. I didn't compete. I took a year off and I'm in the audience. And I have tears just, I mean, they're just coming down, man. And I'm just like, wow. Everybody else has cameras, they're flashing pictures, they're using their phones. I'm just standing there like this. And this fan sees me crying. And he says, why are you crying, man? Like, you're gonna be up there, like you're gonna be the man. And this and that. I said, you don't freaking get it. I'm watching the greatest of all time leave. I understand that this story is done. This is it. He just said, I'm done. And the tears that I have are of appreciation and gratitude and understanding his greatness. I don't want to wait 10 years from now to tell him he's great. I'm telling him he's great right now. So my frustration has always been when people can't see it in the moment, because sometimes we don't live as long as people would hope. So imagine giving Sean Roden his flowers while he was alive, but we
yeah,
always want to give them when they're dead. But if we appreciated someone's work in the moment, you do realize you spread so much good positivity in the world. Like if I see you and if I wasn't in the moment when we had dinner, I wouldn't remember what you were wearing a white shirt that night. You know, like I remember we were talking about, the guys were talking about who has the best picanha and stuff like that. I think you were asking me about it. So if I'm in the moment in everything, I can learn more and I can have better memories. So for me, man, like being Mr. Olympia is everything. Being a winner is everything. But not being in the moment to understand what that felt like, you like you would miss out on life. So for my fans, I want them to whether they rooted for me or rooted for someone else, just be in the moment of what you're seeing, because we're not going to be this size forever, you know. We
Yeah.
have a life, and you know, that's how I feel about it, you know.
Well, I think that winning is also brings a curse. Like the winning is it's so loud that sometimes people forget to see the things that made you won. So they don't value the things that real champions appreciate when they see the former champions, and they are able to live through all that hard stuff and hard days, and they, wow, if I had this guy to tell me what to do. And I'm telling this to you because there was a time that I know that you helped Jay on his training. Can you tell us a little bit about that the time? I think it was 2008, 2009, if I'm not wrong.
The thing I did for Jay was, I was on stage when he lost his title in 2008 to Dexter. We were talking, and I wanted him to train with Hani because I felt like if anyone's going to help him, it would be him, right? And I also realized that if I'm going to beat Jay Cutler, I want him to be at his best. Well, I found out that following year because he looked incredible and kicked all our asses, you know. But I wasn't afraid of it. And to me, being a competitor and also a friend to someone, you want your friends to be better, right? And as a competitor, you want to go against the best at their best.
Yes.
So that also made me better by having that attitude. And yeah, a lot of people are just now hearing this story, but yeah, that was me being a friend and also helping him. You know, he still had to win. He still had to do the work, but it also helped me be a better competitor. Yeah.
This was the time that he looked at you and he said that, damn, what is these arms? You know, I've heard him tell this story a couple of times. I had the pleasure to meeting Jay personally, and I asked him to tell this, and he said, now I see that kid with that, I know every inch is in his arms, and I said, oh, this guy is going to be tough to beat if he decides to be a champion, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think what Jay would agree with is that he could trust that I had the champion heart. I had the mindset. He could trust that. That's why he would say to people, this guy's going to be great, because he knew based on my work and not just my mouth, like talking, he knew that I exuded that type of confidence combined with effort. And a lot of people just talk, you know, and very few actually do. But I was able to do it all, and he could see that, because champions recognize champion abilities in others. So he knew what it took, and he saw it in me without having to teach me anything and whatnot. So yeah, it made him confident for sure to say, yeah, if this guy keeps going, like he's gonna be, you know, he's gonna be somebody, you know.
Can you see that qualities, for example, in our champions like Eduardo Correia and Ramon? What can you tell me about Eduardo, the things that you admire, and then about Ramon that is coming with a hunger to get his first win?
Yes, I see. With Eduardo, I always felt like his timing was off, meaning he was his greatest at like a show that wasn't the Olympics, right? He would like good at one show and then not be like the same for some reason. But if I take like Eduardo's like best physique and just put the picture up and say, is that, you know, like a 220 champion, he was fourth. But maybe he got to 212, he off by like a small margin. I've always been a fan of his physique though. Always came in shape. I know he had injuries and stuff like that. I always believed that if he was never injured, I mean, he would have easily, you know, been high, you know, more competitive. But injuries happen, right?
Yes.
As far as Ramon, I mean, he has the ability. I think it's just time. I think just time, because he's pretty young from my understanding. You can't, that's the hardest thing in this sport, is that it's just, if it's just time, it's just time. Like, you can't speed up time.
Yes.
You can't take a drug. You can't do a supplement. You can't, time. It's just time in the gym. So my advice to him would just be, continue to do what you're doing. Make sure that you're working on your back. You know, get the lower lat insertions. Just work on that. Continue to just come in peeled. Just come in just diced, because what I've noticed with his physique is that he can be very round. So
Yeah.
if he is to be competitive enough to win, he needs to be the most conditioned person on this stage. Because we've seen Sebum and we've seen like guys like Urs, they're in really good condition. If he can out condition them, he puts himself in a better position for the judges to say, I don't know, we might want to give him, you know, a different comparison, because in their category is height and weight. So if he can come in just ripped and that conditioning, he already has fullness. Like, I know a lot of people say that, oh, he reminds people of me. Well, he has some roundness, but what he can do is out condition everyone. If he can condition everybody, he'll actually look bigger, believe it or not.
I trust you. Do you think that what time gives you beside maturity? Because sometimes I tell my friends that doing bodybuilding is just like baking a cake. If you try to speed it up with heat, you will finish it burning everything. So get time. And I like a lot when you say about that. Do you think this is maturity? What do you think there are the main characteristics of athlete maturity?
I think a number of things. Like, your off season has to be consistent with your flaws. So if you can't show up on stage with, let's say for me, people would say, oh, Phil doesn't have like a back, his back's weak. So that means off season, I have to train back more. I have to have an improvement in my back. So therefore, you can't say that that's a weakness anymore. So if guys like Ramon, like, if he can't take, imagine if they could say, we used to talk about his back being weak, and now we can't talk about that anymore. What does that mean? That means he's improved. Because as you get better, the only thing they're going to do is try to nitpick and use a different magnification on the microscope and try to make it stronger and stronger and stronger to see where, you know, your flaws are. If you make it to the point where they use a certain lens that they can't even, like, it's just to find like a little flaw, that means you're the champion. So he's got to figure out how he can improve, what his weaknesses are, what the strengths are of the other athletes, because these guys have strengths too. Like, they have good body parts. If he can match them or be better than them in certain other body parts and create the right flow for his own physique, it's going to be hard to beat. But that's real bodybuilding. Like, but I don't think people think about it like that in their head. Like, for me, I wasn't trying to be bigger than Kai Green or Big Ramy and stuff. I just wanted to be a better Phil Heath. I wanted to make sure that, wow, like, for instance, with Ramy, like, big, huge quads, right? But I'm like, my quads don't have to be that big. That's not genetically, like, that's not going to work for me. But what I can do is be more separated and fuller and more conditioned. And Ramy and I competed against each other, like, 1 and 2 in 2017, and he outweighed me by 40 pounds. Where did that 40 pounds go? We don't know, because you turn us from the side, turn us to the front, you turn us to the back. I was still as bubbly. I was more bubbly and ripped than he was. And that is a proof that smaller guys can still beat some bigger guys. It's just knowing how to do it, and it takes time and patience and honesty with yourself. You have to be super honest. You can't take it personal. And if you do take it personal, then you go to the gym.
Good.
If you're gonna take if someone said to me, Phil, you have no back, okay, is it true? There's some truth to it. Well, better go to work. Hey, hey, Phil, your abs aren't that great, this and that. Is it true? It might be true. Then I better go to work. Hey, your posing isn't that great. Is it true? Yeah, it's not perfect. Well, then you go to work. So therefore, you're always in your mind like saying, I gotta work, because you're not perfect. None of us are.
You know, Arnold says, used to say that he uses the shorts because he wanted people to see his calves, and then he started training more calves because he thought that they are small. And I understand that you're telling us something like, chase to improve yourself. Do not be other self. Can I understand like this?
Yes. So you always have to run your own race. That's it. Like I focused on the person I'm competing against. I'm not them, and they're not me. You have to run your own race every day. And am I giving it everything? Maybe not. Maybe you think you're giving it everything. Can you go a little bit harder? Can you be a little smarter? Yes. That's it. If you just constant improvement, you're going to win. You're going to be a much better athlete.
You have just said that you had a tough off season, and I see a lot of athletes dealing with off season with like a more relaxed season, and they are not so tight in their beliefs and their strength. And if your off season is tough, I trust that your pre-contest is tough either, right? And what are the toughest things on your off season? The toughest things on your pre-season?
The toughest thing in the off season was always my travel schedule. That was always the hardest part because I was traveling a crazy amount every weekend. I was gone, so I always where I was going to be. Whereas pre-contest, it was actually a lot easier because I was always at home. And I was always in the same gym, the same meals, the same. Where off season, it was always fly here, train at this gym, don't know anybody there, stay at this hotel, have a food prep company send me meals. Where's my supplements? Where's my stuff? And you're always just trying to figure it out. And then you're having like very inconsistency with your home gym. Pre-contest at the same place all the time, so it's very familiar. So that was really the biggest thing. The hardest thing in off season was always like also trying to cram in personal time with friends, time with family, those times, because during pre-contest you can't do it.
Well, we are getting at the end of our chat here, and I want to thank you very much for your time, for your patience, and for the learnings that we had today. But I want to ask you one thing more. It's what do you do credit for your success, and what a guy with 7 Olympians have to learn yet? Do you think that you have more learning to do, and where do you think that this learning is in?
Well, I thank God every day that he gave me this body and he gave me a lot of strength, because there's times where I didn't know if I could really do it. And those nights of being in that gym by myself, screaming and hollering, I just look up and be like, God, please help me, because I'm trying, and I just need more strength. So got to give praise and honor to God. But outside of that, life in itself, there's a lot of wins awaiting me. And it doesn't require a bodybuilding stage for me to be a winner. Right now I'm touring, doing different appearances, being a public speaker. I get to still be on the stage, but I get to inspire other people. I get to inspire people that have nothing to do with bodybuilding also, but taking my abilities of what I've learned and what I've earned and helping people get through life has been very fulfilling to me, because it's really my gift to them. And I'm always going to be bigger. I'm always going to be bigger than the average guy. I'm still training. I'm still doing things. I'm always going to be a bodybuilder. But I still have a lot of growth, and I work on self-development every day now. And that's just because I want to not just focus on bodybuilders. I want to give to the world like Arnold did. Arnold gave to bodybuilders, and then he went to give to everyone in the world. And through bodybuilding, he was able to do that. So I feel the same. Like, I feel like I'm in a great opportunity, great time to be able to, really focus on this. And I'm just here to serve. I'm just here to be a man of service. I'm just fortunate that I get paid to do it. But I'm here even with you. Like, this isn't a paid thing. I'm just here to just spread awareness, positivity, make sure that everybody learns that you can always believe in yourself. You have to. It's your job. Like, you have to do this. You have one life. And, I really feel like my greatest work in life is just happening. Like, winning 7 Mr. Olympias is incredible. We may not, I don't know when we're going to see that again.
I have this doubt also.
I don't know, but I can say that I get to take everything that I learned. I'm 42 years old. I get to take all of those years, and especially all of the years of bodybuilding, of doing things that only 3 other people have been able to do, right? That means I can do anything in business and relationships and anything. That means I can also speak to people. We have a lot of people that love to talk and interact with their fans and create content and stuff. But now I get to do the same thing from a much higher place and trust, because people can trust me. And that's what I'm very thankful for. I'm thankful that I put in all the work, because the Sandals is one great, it's freaking dope, man. Like, I'm the only bodybuilder ever that has the original Sandal, the golden Sandal, and the new Sandal. So that's, like, I'm so thankful. But I get to talk about the mentality. I get to help people, and that's my job now. That's who I am. And I'm just, like I said, I'm very thankful. I can't wait to get out to Brazil. I hope everything is good. I know you guys are super bodybuilding fans, and I am too. So we're gonna have a great time, and you and I get to chat again. So thank you for having me on, and I look forward to seeing you soon.
We'll have time for that, and as you have so much to teach us, I will invite you to be with us in our podcast. We have more than 5 million followers, and the object of this podcast is to talk to beyond bodybuilding, people who wants to get lose fat and to get some tips to go feel better in their lives. We have interviewed even the president of Brazil in this podcast, so you will be very welcome. I hope you have the time for it. And I went telling you a story, a very short story, I promise. And because there's some things that people should know, especially from you, a guy who had so much wounds in her life. It's inevitable to people to ask me, how about the people that I know that are famous, that are successful? And one of the stories that I have a lot of cherish is that dinner that we had in Rio de Janeiro. Everyone talks, how about Phil and how he is, and them is one when they by the way that they treat people that are not able to do anything for them. So in that night, I was a stranger, and I was no doctor from Brazil, and I came with my wife so we can sit and have dinner. And in normal situations, and I am used to that, people does not say hello to us. We just sit and dinner and enjoy watching some conversation. But you stop it talking, you have stand up, and you first had handed your hand to my wife and say, "Hi, I'm Philip. Nice to meet you." And then you say and you did the same thing with me. And this was an example not only by a winner guy, but a gentleman and a real person that I should admire. And since then, you had that brighting, that shining bright that was brighter for me. Every time you won, every time you say something, I remember that guy who had to stand up to greet my wife and me. And this is something that people must know, that champions have attitude of champions. And you were a champion in life, my friend. And I'm very, very glad to talk to you in this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. We'll be, like I said, we'll be able to hopefully do it again soon. So yes, I can't wait.
So do I. Thank you. Bye-bye. See you here.
Yeah. Bye.
Bom, pessoal. Heath. Né? Então, foi uma entrevista muito legal. Eu perguntei algumas coisas para ele, então eu vou falar para vocês aqui o que foi mais ou menos o resumo da entrevista. Então, o que ele falou? Ele falou que épocas mais difíceis da vida dele, né? Entre o quarto e o quinto títulos, tinha muita coisa acontecendo na vida dele, ele estava se separando, ele perdeu o pai dele, né? E foi muito difícil para ele conseguir superar essa fase. Outras coisas difíceis, né? Ele fala que ele tem off-seasons difíceis, né? Então, ele é um cara que ele se aplica 100% naquilo que ele está fazendo em cada momento, e que o off-season dele, ele tenta sempre se superar, né? E que ele tenta fazer o que é necessário desde o primeiro dia, né? E curioso que ele fala uma coisa que outros pesquisadores aqui no Brasil falam para vocês. Belmiro de Salles, por exemplo, quanto é importante de você ter carga, né? O quanto é importante você treinar peso, de você aumentar as cargas de trabalho que você tem, né? Aparentemente, Phil, ele é um cara que faz isso, né? E que tem tudo sob controle para conseguir se superar nesse sentido. Outras coisas legais. Ele fala alguma coisa dos treinadores dele, né? Então, ele fala que ele sempre treina sozinho, que ele, por mais que ele tenha as orientações do treinador dele, ele fala que ele é responsável 100% pelo que ele faz, né? Então, que se o treinador dele fala para ele fazer 40 minutos de cardio, que não é que ele faz 20 e fala que fez 40, ele faz os 40 minutos de cardio, né? E que ele se sente honesto com isso. Então, uma das coisas que ele fala, da necessidade de você ter honestidade. E é curioso, porque quando eu falo, por exemplo, com o Eduardo Correia, né, sobre coisas a se fazer e formas de pensar. E o Eduardo fala, né, que você só vai sentir um perdedor se você subir no palco sabendo que você tinha que ter feito mais. Desde que você fez tudo que era necessário para você conseguir chegar até lá em condições de competição, se você fez o seu melhor, tudo bem, aquilo tá excelente, né? E curiosamente, quando a gente escuta um cara que nem o Heath, que tem 7 títulos de Mr. Olímpia, né? Ele fala uma coisa que leva a esse pensamento, né? Leva a essa conclusão, né? Que você tem que fazer o seu melhor. E se você tem uma orientação para você fazer aquilo que você foi orientado. Eu perguntei para ele um pouco do Jay Cutler, né? E ele falou que é uma coisa extremamente louvável, né? Que ele ajudou o Jay, que ele treinou com o Jay, porque ele queria vencer o Jay na melhor forma do Jay, né? Olha o que o Heath falou. Ele falou que eu não quero vencer um cara que está por baixo, eu quero vencer o Jay na melhor forma que ele tiver. E que ainda que isso seja uma coisa, um pensamento arriscado, né? Mas é isso que eu quero. E eu falo para vocês, é a vontade de você ser o melhor dos melhores e não menos pior. Entende que você tem que fazer o melhor de você? Isso é uma coisa que se você perguntar para todo mundo que tem uma posição relevante no esporte, eles vão repetir a mesma coisa para você. Eles vão falar para você que ele quer ser o melhor dos melhores, né? A escolha de vencer por vencer, mesmo que você seja o menos pior, não é uma escolha. Aí a minha interpretação disso, eu acho que inclusive é uma fuga. É uma falta de coragem, né? Quando você espera que o outro piore para você conseguir vencer. Não, eu vou melhorar e eu vou superar essa pessoa. É o conceito de superação, porque na verdade você não supera a pessoa, você supera as suas limitações em ter que fazer coisas para superar a outra pessoa. Ele falou do Correia, falou do Ramon, né? Que o Eduardo é um cara pronto e é um cara excelente, que ele tem admiração. E ele falou que o Ramon ele precisa só de tempo, que tá tudo bem, que ele vai vencer. Ele tem um roundness, né? Ele tem um arredondamento da musculatura que é muito bonito e que ele deveria investir em conditioning, né? Porque se ele conseguiu manter se ele conseguir manter o que é esse arredondamento muscular dele, né, dentro das condições de competição, né, ele vai ser muito bem sucedido. E isso a gente tem certeza, né? Porque o Ramon ele tem duas coisas muito legais. Ele tem o frame e o shape, né? O formato do corpo, a estrutura do corpo dele perfeita, né? E tem o shape, a qualidade física dele também sensacional, tá? Que mais? Quando ele estava falando sobre desenvolvimento, né? Aí eu perguntei para ele, será que a gente pode resumir isso que o recado é você melhorar quem você é e não tentar se tornar outra pessoa? E ele concordou completamente, né? Ele acha que a ideia é você tentar, né? A ideia é você tentar sempre ser o melhor de você. E ele faz comparações. Ele fala, cara, não adianta eu querer ter uma coxa do tamanho do Big Ramy. Eu não vou ter, não é a minha estrutura, não é o meu corpo. Mas eu tenho a melhor coxa que encaixa no corpo do Phil. E é verdade, é a forma física geral do sujeito. Então, às vezes a gente observa as pessoas se cortando em partes e falando assim, eu tenho que ter isso melhor, eu tenho que ter aquilo melhor. Quando, na verdade, o que ela tem que melhorar é o tudo, tudo tem que falar, tudo tem que se concordar, tudo tem que comunicar. O tronco comunica com o braço, comunica com o ombro, comunica com a perna, comunica com o quadril, comunica com a canela, né? E é uma coisa que o Kai Greene fala naquele documentário dele, A Day in a Life, né? Que ele fala que você não deve ter áreas subdesenvolvidas, né? Undeveloped parts, né? Que você tem que ter tudo estimulado. Então não adianta ter uma coisa excelente, né, e ter uma coisa ruim. Não existe compensação. Curioso que o Phil ele pensa do mesmo jeito, né? Ele vai estar aqui na BTFF entre dia 17 e dia 20 de novembro, ou seja, daqui 2 semaninhas ele está aqui. Vocês vão ter a oportunidade de estar com ele, conhecer o Phil, ver ele de perto, né? E eu acho que vai ser muito legal essa oportunidade, tá? Bom, como todo atleta maduro, o que ele fala, né? Que ele fala, eu perguntei para ele, cara, você mais tem a aprender? Você ganhou 7 Olímpias, né? Ele falou, eu tenho muita coisa para aprender, né? Eu tenho a noção de que talvez o meu trabalho seja maior que o fisiculturismo. A gente é muito fã de fisiculturismo, mas, né, ele falando, né, que ele acha que ele pode ajudar as pessoas em outras áreas. E eu concordo com isso. Eu concordo com isso porque você ser um cara vitorioso te leva a ganhar raciocínio sobre outras coisas na vida. Te leva a ganhar capacidades, te leva a ganhar competências, né? E competência é uma coisa muito importante. E o que ele tem de oferecer mais legal para nós é justamente essa competência, essa mente forte. São as formas de raciocínio que levaram ele a ganhar 7 vezes o Mr. Olímpia. Não é brincadeira, né, pessoal? É muita coisa. Mas foi isso. Muito legal essa live com o Phil, tá? Depois a gente vê se dá para traduzir isso antes de postar no YouTube, né? Porque vale muito a pena ouvir o que esse cara tem para falar, tá? E ele vai estar na BTFF entre os dias 17 e 20 de novembro. Eu vou estar lá também, a gente vai se ver e eu espero que vocês tenham uma grande experiência com a BTFF. Os ingressos estão com desconto, né? Então eu vou postar agora no meu Stories, tá? Um código de promoção para vocês terem acesso aí, poderem, né, estarem na feira, conhecer o Phil, dar um tchauzinho lá para mim, tá? Pra gente poder se aproximar, tá? Vou ficar muito feliz. Eu sou muito grato pelo carinho de todos vocês, sou muito feliz pela consideração de todos vocês e a gente volta a se falar, tá? Hoje à noite, Ironcast, vejo vocês no canal do Renato Cariani, a gente vai gravar um Ironcast, vai ser muito legal. E amanhã, 7 da manhã, banho, tá? Amanhã teremos 49 dias para o início das férias de final de ano. Então é melhor os senhores já estarem nas lives para a gente poder trocar ideia, para poder melhorar esse físico, hein, meu? Tem que acertar esse shape, tá bom? Beijo pra vocês. Deus abençoe a todos, que vocês fiquem excelentes nessa quinta-feira cheia de TBT. A gente se vê mais tarde no Ironcast. Hasta luego.